Aloha and welcome to Monday Music Moment. As you can see from the previous ones, we go over a couple ideas that we've gone over before. The reason why I do that in each one of these videos, as you will catch on, is I like to pancake ideas, meaning when you learn one thing, it usually applies to another thing in music. If you learn it on one instrument, do it on another. I have an awkward approach for music. I have a particular way of doing it, and I seem to find that it affects a lot of people differently than most of your general lessons. Therefore, try to make it fun. If you have any questions, put it in the comment section. Other than that, we're going to just do a quick recap of what we talked about on this channel. Any instrument you have that has strings on it goes up in half steps or minor seconds. On this particular instrument, the ukulele, I could still do 1, 2, 3, 4 with my fingers. Now, I'm not playing on any of the middle. I'm playing on the in-between notes, making sure that each note that I play rings out, that it's not kind of muted, I guess. I don't know. So like go through the process of moving your fingers up 1, 2, and 3, 4, keeping them very simply by themselves. If you have a strum in hand or a pick and finger, try using just one of those or just one quick strum. 1, 2, 3, 4, then we skip up to the next string, play that note, that note, that note. The thing we're looking to do is not to have our fingers way off the fretboard, to actually just keep our fingers close to the fretboard. I know this seems weird and silly and stupid. However, if you do this process for 5 minutes every day, they're called spider exercises. They're called a lot of things, but what it does is it forms muscle memory. If you can do this on your first 4 frets, which that's what they're called, frets, the metal frettings you start to avoid, you start playing in the middle, and you get very used to playing these individual notes. Now later, all these individual notes will turn into separate either notes inside of a diatonic scale, or believe it or not, all of these notes are in a chromatic scale, meaning every note I played there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Hear how that's an octave? The note down there is lower. And when I play the higher note, it's the same note, except the frequencies go twice the amount of speed inside that same portion of space and time. Therefore, when it rattles our eardrums, it gets a little bit crazy. What we like to do is we take these notes of spider exercises and we combine them with the scales that we know while chords are being played. And when we put them in order, they make a melody over the top of these chords. So what we do is we learn how to play that in every key, and then we put the same kind of influence of those notes that are in every single one of these, taking away a couple, adding a couple. And what we've been talking about are just the beginning ideas of understanding the music. So once you get that 1, 2, 3, 4, once you get this process and your fingers can start making contact with your frets, and you're not getting buzzing noises, and it actually starts making sense, you will find that playing the instrument will become a lot easier. This works with all instruments, whether it's saxophone, flute, harp. When you play and you put your hands on the instruments, you could use certain mechanisms, muscle memory, to do the same thing. If it's on a piano, you could use your thumb and your pinky to get a 1 and a 5 note, 1, 5, and then determine where the major or minor third is. Every single triad or chord on the piano will have a 1 and a 5, which is parallel, meaning a white key will go to a white key, a black key will go to a black key, except for the key of B flat and the key of B. One goes from a black key to a white key, and then a white key to a black key. If you haven't ever stumbled upon that, check it out. It's fun. Anywho, when we're playing these, the second step that we teach in these videos is called the teeter-totters. Now, the teeter-totters are essentially what they sound like. You have a fulcrum of which one chord sits on, and a digit which is not being used. When we remove the first finger, put the second finger where the first finger was, put the third finger where the second finger was, and then bring the third finger onto the fretboard, you get the same exact chord, except for one finger's off. Why do we do this? Because it helps move these chords up the fretboard and then make bar chords. When you don't do that and you just take a G major, you know, sounds great, but you can't scoot it up to a G sharp and play that high G, because that is a diatone. Just doesn't sound great. So what we do is we learn how to put our first finger to cover that one note that was the G and make it a G sharp or an A flat, and it makes the chord sound pretty. So what we've learned, if you can play an F major, and you can play an F major in 2 different fingerings, you then could scoot that chord up a half step and lay your finger across the whole board to make a bar chord, B-A-R-R-E. Bar chords are a little difficult, but here's the concept. If you can play an F and you can play an F, you can play an F sharp. If you can play an F and you can add its 6th, F, G, A, B flat, C, D, you get its relative minor. F major, D minor, they're so super close with one finger because they're relative. G major, E minor, a lot of people play E like that. Try it like this, so fun, so quick. So when we're playing the F major, we've got the D minor here. If I take that same concept with my teeter-totter, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice how I'm keeping my strumming hand going and playing rests over each beat. The reason why I enforce that in the beginning is because when we speed this up to, all that rhythms derive from the slowness of feeling that fulcrum, that move between the point of your finger here and the back of your elbow being a straight line, and then being able to use that very, very cone of influence right there to play awesome rhythm mechanisms. When we're doing this kind of thing, what we're seeing through these chords is if you can play an F, you can play a D minor, you can switch your D minor to a different shape of a D minor with the second finger. You could then scoot that up a whole step, lay down your finger and play a E minor, because it works. D minor, D sharp minor, E flat minor, E minor, F minor, E minor. And that E minor will sound the same as this E minor and this E minor and any other E minor that you could find on your instrument, because they're just inversions. Once you learn just the triads and what notes are in those, so in the key of F, F, G, A, B flat, C, 1, 3, 5. Once we have that down pat and we know where every single one of our Fs are, then we move on to hearing the same scale we use for C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, C sharp, D sharp, B sharp, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B sharp, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D. Does not matter if you know what those notes are, just as long as you're playing through them and know that the fingers are correlating with the tones you want to hear. Which brings us full circle to what we're going to talk about today. We've talked about the first scale, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, having a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are no sharps, no flats. So there isn't a 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, 7, 1. That would be a different mode and a different scale. The one we're talking about is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. On the ook, it just happens to be there. If you have your own instrument, learn those scales there, or check out this video, this channel, or any other channel which talks about a major scale in the key of C, which is where most of this is based from. On the piano, it's all the white keys. So if I were just to take the concept of going to the piano and doing... The next mode we talked about would get rid of the C note and then add a D note. D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. That gives us D Dorian. The feeling we get from that is our 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, or natural 6, flat 7, and then 1. So the only thing about Dorian that we talked about, that natural note, that 6 is really where it's at. So the way we derive that Dorian came from C major. So if C is the first note in C major, then C, D is the second, which is a D minor. So if I start the C major scale from that D note, and then add a D, I get D Dorian. What we're talking about today is going to be Phrygian. Welcome. The next step that we would do for Phrygian would be just playing the C major scale again. Ready? C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. What we're going to do here is play that same C major scale, but we start on the E note for an E minor, which gives us E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E. When we analyze that, we could do that horizontally or vertically. Now let's do it vertically. Ready? Here is our C, here's our D, and we're going to start on our E. So we have E to F is a half step. F to G is a whole step, G to A is a whole step, A to B is a whole step, B to B to C is a half step, and then C to D is a whole step. What we just experienced is a flat second, flat third, a flat sixth, and a flat second. For those of you who already know your modes, yes, this is quite like a Aeolian mode, a natural minor mode. What we see when we have a natural minor is we've got our flat third, which distinguishes major and minor. So we naturally have that. And then we've got our 6 and our 7 playing the full as flats. When we see that kind of movement in music, we see Phrygian as having a flat 2, a flat 3, a flat 6, and a flat 7. Therefore, if we were to take it out of the context of playing an E Phrygian and said we wanted to play C Phrygian, we would have to, 1, play a C minor, because it would be a Phrygian note. Go back 3 to find out what key we're in. So if we've got C here and we've got our minor, we're going back, we've got our 2. We could have a plethora of different things we're going to do with these notes, but the most important thing is that when we play our C, that our new movement incorporates that half step, whole step, half step. It has the same motion that you would get from the C major. So when we do E to F, that's a half step. Then we have F to G, which is a whole step, G to A, which is a whole step, A to B, which is a whole step. Here's our half step. B to C, and then C to D. So our 2 half steps are between the 1 and 2 that's naturally there. We're gonna have our flat 3, which is gonna feel natural in that key. So in the key of C, interesting feeling, isn't it? C, C sharp, but we call it a D flat because it can't say C, C sharp, C triple sharp, C quadruple sharp. Why would I say the same thing over and over? C, D flat, E, F, G, A, G, A, B, C. So when we do this, the motion of the ocean that determines what we're doing there are the movements of those intervals. You will notice from other videos they talk about different bands that use these. If you want to see what bands use Phrygian, type in Phrygian and what bands use them, watch all the videos you can. If you want to learn how to take your fingers and put them on your fretboard and go horizontally and vertically whilst understanding where your fretboard notes are, one day at a time. We can take 5 minutes here and 5 minutes there to do a Music Monday moment, and eventually all these will be put together. So if you can grasp the concepts that are just our basic modes, that will lead to another session which we'll talk about using those within fingerstyle, using the right notes, and then finding out where those half steps are that give you flavor. I hope you enjoyed these. I really enjoy doing these on every Monday. If you do, put something in the comment section if you'd like to see it. If not, we're just going to be doing the modes in order, and then we're going to be doing a special rhythm exercise series. Aloha!